What's good, everybody? It's your man DLC, man. How y'all doing? Happy Thursday. Welcome to our Really Want to Know podcast, man. We're gonna continue with our war updates. We're trying to do one every day. And again, when we do these war updates, man, I don't do any intros, no outros, no sound effects, no nothing. We just, I look at it as just it's just too serious to hit the buttons and whatnot, man. Yeah, yeah. Terrible situation that we're in as a nation, and we're just gonna go over it, man. We're just gonna go over it. It's I mean, it's sad. Like, right now we know there's 6 Americans that were lost, 6 KIAs. That's what we're being told. We seen the pictures. We don't know names. One of them is from the Tampa area. Um, the captain, I forget his name, but very well respected. It's from the area. I think it was the captain, and they were reservists. I remember once upon a time, if you joined the National Guard or Reserve, it's like weekend warrior status. You were serving your country, but you were staying home for the most part. You weren't regular duty, like everyday soldier or Marine or sailor or airman. But after the 90s, that's the first thing I noticed when I got out. It's just the reason I didn't want to be in a reserve unit. After the 90s, with the downsizing of the army, especially, the government turned to the reservists. So when things would go down, they would just activate a reserve unit with the MOS or the skill set that they need, and they would send those people forward, send them down range. It's crazy. And back then, most of the reserve units weren't ready for that. I mean, they were truly weekend warriors. They're living in their own bubble, doing their own thing. And then, they would get orders like, yeah, you're going to some far away land. I'm like, what? So, today I tell people when they ask me, like, look, if you're gonna join the military, go regular duty and go active first. Just live the life first. See if you can, enlist, see if you can go active duty, see if they can give you a 2-year enlistment active duty, and then maybe you get out and then you go 4 years in the guard or National Guard or Reserve. At least like you've been trained properly, you lived the life, and then you get into a unit, a reserve unit, just in case. So just so you prepared 100%. But again, that was the 90s. Things have changed, and the people who enlist in the National Guard and Reserve, I'm pretty sure they understand that they will. It's a really good chance they'll get called up, have to go somewhere. And the people, the first 6 KIAs, just happen to be Army reservists. So, yeah, man. Day 6, Iran war. Things are getting pretty hot and heavy. Things are intensifying. New developments today include fresh airstrikes, escalating retaliation from Iran, growing humanitarian concerns, and widening global economic disruptions. Disruptions. Ugh, sorry, y'all. Words are hard. Man, I salute all of the professional media people who do this. It's like, wow, you have no idea. I had no idea how tough it is. Now, yeah, granted, I'm sitting here, I'm doing my own production, and I'm moving the stuff behind the scenes. I'm doing all that. And you're not just sitting there reading a teleprompter that someone else is working. I don't have anyone in my ear helping me out with stuff. But still, this is tough. This is tough. But I mean, it's fun. I'm retired. Something to do. I do enjoy it. Um, so the war enters day 6. Escalation continues. U.S. and Israeli forces continue heavy bombing campaigns across Iran overnight, targeting missile infrastructure and military facilities. That's from Al Jazeera. Military officials say the goal remains to destroy Iran's missile capabilities and degrade its ability to retaliate. However, Iranian leadership has warned that attacks will become more intense and widespread, threatening economic disruptions across the region. And that's from Live Now. I believe that's Fox. So again, it took a while to kind of get out of the administration what the objectives were, what the mission is. Apparently, the mission is not regime change, but it kind of is regime change. But some of the objectives do include destroying Iran's missile capability. Now, I don't know what kind of intel they had. I don't know if they have any idea of how many missiles they have. Does that include drones? Does that include shoulder fired munitions? Still got some questions on that, but that's one of the things that they want to do. And so, the bombings are still continuing. We still got what we got going on. Shout out to everybody on YouTube and Facebook, by the way. Appreciate y'all. Y'all know Facebook just started broadcasting on Facebook, man. I appreciate y'all. And again, if you're on Facebook and you haven't already done so, I would truly appreciate it if you come over to YouTube. I Really Want to Know podcast. Give us a subscribe, maybe a like. And I really appreciate that. That does help with the algorithm. And this is the year. I've been doing this for 4 years, but 2026 is the year I'm going full go, 100% trying to, do some things. So, one of our objectives is to remove the missile threat from Iran. Let's just assume that we have good intel and we know roughly how many missiles are out there and where they are housed. Then, it looks like we're on our way to doing that. And, people are talking about the reduction in attacks from Iran. So it looks like it's working, but, that could be a feint. So casualties rising across the region. The human cost of the war continues to rise. Current estimates suggest that over 1,200 people killed in Iran. These mostly civilians. I'm sure some military guys, definitely some military guys too, but 1,200 people that's lost in Iran, civilians. I mean, we're supposed to be helping the civilians, and they just lost 1,200 folks. More than 100 deaths reported in Lebanon. At least 6 U.S. service members lost. We had talked about that. At least 6. Dozens killed in Israel during the missile attacks. The World Health Organization reports 13 hospitals and health facilities have been struck since the war began. That's reporting from The Guardian. I mean, that's like the most vulnerable of vulnerable right there, man. You hate to hear that. Large numbers of civilians have been displaced as fighting intensifies. And that's the whole region, guys. The whole region is involved in this. Those numbers are horrible, especially if you're coming in like America and, the administration is saying that, we want to see a different regime in command there. So there's that. We're pounding these folks. You got the Secretary of Defense out here talking big, doing these press conferences like he's straight out of central casting, man. I mean, it's horrible. The things that he's saying, like, it's so cold and callous. Somehow I guess he believes that that's a good look. It's a terrible look because, there's a lot of people out there still believe we're fighting terrorism. Like, this is not the way to fight terrorism. Like, innocent people are getting hurt and killed out here, and all you're gonna do is create more terrorists. Probably 1 or 2 more generations of people who want to get, they want that get back. Iran's missile capabilities are degrading. U.S. and Israeli strikes appear to be having a major impact on Iran's military capabilities, what we were just talking about, according to U.S. Central Command. So this is U.S. Central Command saying this. Iranian missile launches have dropped by roughly 86% in the past 4 days. Right? You're like, oh, that's good. That means we're getting to the missiles. We're getting to their munitions. It's dropped 86%. Or is this a feint? Or the Iranians just like, hey, let's hold off. Let's wait. And then we'll just unleash, like a major attack at some point and maybe overwhelm, American and Israeli anti-missile defenses. We'll have to wait and see. Underground missile bases are being systematically targeted. So it sounds like we did have good intel. We know where the underground bases are, and we're hitting them with bunker buster bombs. I guess that sort of stuff. Maybe a Moab or 2, like the mother of all bombs. Maybe one of those if we have them. Not quite sure what we have anymore as far as munitions. Many launch sites has been destroyed or trapped inside of tunnels, and that's from the Wall Street Journal. This indicates that the coalition strategy is focused on eliminating Iran's ability to sustain long-term missile warfare. Right. So this is one of the objectives, clearly one of the objectives, and they're doing what they're doing. It just, I just really hope that intel is coming in. I really hope, I'm pretty sure that the generals who are running this, not the politicians, but the generals who are running this are going to be real leery. Like, all right, the Iranians have dropped their launches by 86%. I'm pretty sure there's some military leaders out there who are real skeptical of that numbers. Like, hey, they're probably just consolidating their missiles and moving stuff around and just waiting for an opportunity, kind of like in Vietnam. Right? Remember the Tet Offensive? America was like, hey man, the war has changed. We got this under control. This will be over pretty soon. We are beating them back. The Viet Cong, the North Vietnamese, they're losing. And then bam, during a holiday of Tet, they had this major offensive, which failed. Remember the Vietnam War? America never lost a major battle. So the Tet Offensive failed, but that's when the military lost America. That's when America was like, something ain't right here. We don't believe you anymore. And then it was a big anti-war push. This thing is starting with an anti-war push. Remember, Trump was supposed to be the pro-peace president. It's supposed to be no more wars president. So we'll see. Mandrell's, what's good, Mandrell? Good to see you, bro. And Mandrell will tell you it's Green Beret. He'll tell you. Like, Mandrell, do you really believe that the Iranians I believe this. I believe this part here. The Iranian missile launches have dropped by 86%, roughly. But Mandrell, do you think that's because we've destroyed so many missiles, or is that because they're waiting for an opening to strike? What do you think? And the reason I asked Mandrell is because Mandrell's a former Green Beret. Guy was on the teams. He knows how this sort of thing go. Like he knows a little bit about the Middle East. So yes, let me know what you think, bro. So we're moving on. Naval war and the sinking of an Iranian warship. Right, we've heard about this, right? This is America's first submarine kill since World War II. I put out that I was half asleep when I heard the briefing by the Department of Defense Hegseth. When I heard him, I thought he said this is the first time a submarine has engaged and killed a target since World War II. But what he said was this is the first time a U.S. submarine has done that since World War II. I missed that part. I got corrected in the chats. I see y'all out there. I see the comments. I got corrected. I stand corrected. Like, oh, okay, I missed that part. Because we all know that a British submarine took out an Argentinian ship during the Falkland Islands War. So yeah, my bad. I got that one wrong. I misheard what he said. But one of the biggest military developments earlier this week was the sinking of the Iranian Navy frigate IRIS Dina by a U.S. submarine in the Indian Ocean. And the thing about that was that submarine, that Iranian warship was on maneuvers or doing something with the Indian Navy. So allegedly they thought that they were safe. They were out there doing maneuvers with India and they were, couldn't touch them, and they got touched by U.S. submarines. So India's kind of mad about that. I think they've, done a formal protest or whatever. I have to look into that. The attack killed 87 Iranian sailors, marking one of the most significant naval losses for Iran in decades. I mean, this is to be expected. I mean, we started this thing. We started the war. Like if you are, an Iranian military asset, like a boat, airplane, whatever, you're out there, bro. You're fair game. You're a target, and America can see you no matter where you are. We have the satellites. We have the intel. They can see you, and they're going to come get you. The naval configuration, the naval confrontation signals that the war is now being fought across air, land, and sea. Yeah, brother Dino. So they call it Department of War, man. It's Department of Defense. Man, I ain't on that. A lot of people in the comments like, it's Department of War, man. Shut up. But thinking about that though, bro. Thinking about that, they came in and one of the first things they did was change that up. Like, no, we're no longer the Department of Defense, we're the Department of War. Like that right there was just kind of a signal to what they want to do. You're supposed to be you. Why didn't y'all just change our name to Department of Peace? Because it's like, hey, we ain't trying to fight no more. We're like the we're the anti-war people, man. Like we want to end all wars. So they come in and go from Department of Defense to Department of War. I just thought that was weird. It's kind of funny. Like, oh, y'all letting you know what time it is. Now, we ain't about peace over here, homie. We about to go over here and take care of business. And that's what they're doing. So it was an Indian naval show. Oh, okay. They should know by now not to trust Americans. Hey man, America starts firing at your people, bro. Like, don't put your assets out there. Again, you think you're all right. Unless America told you it was good and gave you a pass, don't do it. But yeah, man, we're talking about India, but it's real disappointed that America did that. Hey, but precision munitions work like American submarines and submariners. Yeah, that's special forces right there. It's hard to be a submariner. They know what they're doing. That's a very dangerous job, by the way, people. Very, very dangerous job. You're riding around in an underwater boat that's powered by nuclear power. It's very, very. I jumped out of airplanes. I was a paratrooper, bro. There's no way in hell you can get me in a submarine. I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. I'll jump out of airplanes all day long, but I ain't riding nobody's submarine and start fighting people. Not me. So shout out to those submariners out there, wherever you are. War is spreading across the region. The conflict is expanding well beyond Iran. Iranian missiles and drones attacks have targeted UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, Oman. We know that. Saudi Arabia's on that list. You know what I mean? What else is on that? Dubai's on that list. So we know that. I mean, and this is Iran's way of just lashing out and doing whatever they got to do. Because for them, this is about survival. They know they can't beat America, especially America and Israel militarily. So it's just all about survival right now. These strikes have damaged oil facilities, ports, and even U.S. military bases across the Gulf. Regional governments say that they have intercepted hundreds of missiles and drones since the war began. That's another thing, too. There's a lot of talk about being low on interceptors, guys. A lot of talk about that. If we run out of interceptors, if we don't have enough interceptors to do this, like the question becomes, how long can we protect the region, protect all of our allies over there? Because if we don't get all of their drones and missiles and we're low on interceptors, we have to start being strategic with them. You know what I mean? You got to kind of decide who gets protected and who doesn't, what targets get protected, what targets doesn't. That means the casualty count is going to go way up for everyone, including American service members. So it's just one of those things, man. You can't go into a conflict like this and not have everything you need. And there's a lot of talk of, well, we can take munitions from other parts of the world, and bring them over. Apparently it takes a long time and a lot of money to make these munitions, these interceptor missiles. It takes a lot of time. Like, you're making anti-missile missiles. You're making missiles that can shoot down other missiles. Like, that's like an anti-bullet bullet. So the tech that goes into that, and I'm pretty sure you can't just slap them things together, right? You got to put them together. It's going to take X amount of time to get them. And we're depleting our supplies. Like, you just can't snap your fingers and re-up like that. So, and there's reporting out there that the companies that make these things have been summoned to the White House, and the people in the White House are going to talk to them and tell them, hey man, we need this stuff done right away. And they're like, hey man, it takes what it takes, man. If it takes an hour to make a cake, it takes an hour to make a cake. You can't get one in 3 minutes. Right. So these guys, they're going to go in there like, this is how long it takes to make these missiles. Y'all know this. Like, as simple as that. It's not a secret. This is how long this is how long it takes. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. Wow, they left the Iranian survivors in the sea. I don't know what protocol is on that in the Navy. I never served in the Navy. I don't. I got a cousin in the Navy. But obviously he's probably busy right now. I don't know what the protocol is on that. In order for a submarine to save sailors, that you engage a ship, it's an enemy vessel, to go in and you would have to you got to surface to save these sailors and then bring them on your vessel. I mean, that now if the submarine's on the surface, that's when they're really vulnerable. So I don't know if that's part of protocol. I don't know if they're gonna call the fleet and say, hey, dispatch some rescue helicopters. I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what the procedure is. I don't know what the protocol is on that, bro. I don't know. So I can't sit here and say, well, they broke protocol or whatever, but yeah, I don't know. You have to look that one up or talk to some Navy guys. Economic shockwaves. This is definitely messing up the world markets. You can see what Wall Street is doing today. Last time I checked, it was down today. Yesterday was kind of up a little bit. I mean, it's, up and down, up and down. Um, so the war is having major global economic effects. Of course it would. Air travel across the Middle East has been severely disrupted, with airlines suspending flights due to airspace closures. Got a lot of Americans stuck in the Middle East. Um, there's reporting out there that the United States of America, the State Department, has chartered out a bunch of private jets and are sending private jets to the Middle East to pick up Americans and bring them home. The thing is, those Americans have to get to the airports, like a handful of airports that these jets are flying into. They have to get to those airports in order to get on one of those planes. And, I think it was one of the networks, might have been ABC or NBC, was talking to an American comedian who was stuck. Where is he? I think he's stuck in Dubai. And they did a segment today when he's, he made a viral post, was talking about the problems, and he's on the phone trying to figure out how to get out of there. So they had him on the news. He's still over there. He's trying to figure it out. But a lot of people are being told to go to one of these 5 airports in whatever countries they're in, and you can get picked up there. Hopefully, it is what it is. So yeah, you're definitely going to have a shock to air travel and stuff like that. Meanwhile, oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz remains at risk. Of course, global shipping routes are disrupted. Energy markets are volatile. I don't know where oil is right now, but everybody keeps saying it's going to hit $100 a barrel. I don't know where it is. I want to say it's north of 70 right now. I don't know. This region normally moves about 20% of the world's oil supply, making it one of the most critical choke points in global trade, right? And we're talking about the Strait of Hormuz. That's the bottleneck. That's the bottleneck. So, Department of Defense, Department of War is saying that America has complete air superiority over Iranian airspace. Okay, what does that mean? How are you going to secure that strait to get people, through the strait so we can get the oil moving? The rest of the world they're needing their oil. People are running out. And like in China gets their oil from there too. So, they're going to need, something's going to need to happen here. There are definitely reports out there that China and India are trying to mediate and try to get some sort of ceasefire going. So, so they can fix that problem. But 20% of the world oil supply is at risk. That is going to affect everybody. That means prices are going up, right? Prices are going up. Right. I mean, it's crazy. Whiskey up. Yeah, that dude. Yeah. No more rules of engagement. Yeah, but we still have to adhere to the Geneva Convention. So I don't know, man. I don't know what they're doing out there, bro, to be honest with you. And yeah, they had no plan to get American citizens out. I honestly believe that this administration thought that we'll make some strikes, we'll hit their leadership, and it'll be just like Venezuela. They probably were thinking that, and they just had no idea who they're dealing with. How militant and how serious folks in the Middle East are. Don 007 was good, fam. 300K for that flight. How bad you want it out? Yeah, I was hearing that, man. A couple of days ago, they were saying like for one seat on one private jet out of Dubai was $300,000. That was before the U.S. was sending flights over. I don't know how that's working. I don't know. So we have to look into that. Are they charging Americans to get on this flight? And if so, is it $300,000? Wow. And who gets that money if that's the case? Who gets that money? Wow. But yeah, man, 20% of the world oil supply. This is a problem. This is definitely a problem. Diplomatic pressure is growing. International leaders are beginning to push for de-escalation. Yeah, we just said that about China and India, but the entire world, all of Europe, everyone's like, hey, man, let's fix this. Pope Leo has publicly called on world leaders to renounce the war and pursue diplomacy, warning the conflict could destabilize the world. That's coming from Reuters. Of course, it has destabilized the world. They could draw more countries into this conflict. We'll see what happens with that. But so far, military operations on both sides show no sign of slowing down. They had on CNN, I think it was, or maybe one of the MS shows, they had an official from Iran that was talking about the wars. Like, yep, It's like we're not negotiating with America. They don't negotiate in good faith. We were talking to them and they attacked us right in the middle of negotiation, saying stuff like that. They're saying, "Yep, we're not interested in a ceasefire." They were saying that. I mean, this is coming from an Iranian official, one of their ambassadors, and he was saying, like, no, we're not reaching out to America. We don't care. We're in this for the long haul. That sort of rhetoric. So they're saying, "Nah, man, we in this fight." And America's going to say what they're going to say. You have no one knows what Donald Trump is going to say day to day. So you might hear stuff coming out of the White House like, oh, they want to, we want to stop this thing, but they're not letting us. Or you might hear, who knows what you're going to hear, man. Just, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Who knows what you're going to hear? But the entire world knows this is a bad thing. And this was so unnecessary. This was so unnecessary. I was one of the things that they asked the ambassadors, like, hey, do you have the capability of striking America in America? They're like, no, we can't. We don't have anything to reach America. It's like, we were not even thinking about America. We're trying to get the Americans who are in this region attacking us. That's what his answer was, which of course it makes sense. They had nuclear power, they had no intercontinental nothing. They didn't have weapons, or they didn't have the ability to reach America. But, the current administration is saying something different. Right? Political uncertainty inside of Iran. Another major issue shaping the war is the political crisis inside Iran. I mean, is there really a political crisis? They seem to be in line behind the current regime. Iran Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was killed in the initial strikes, creating uncertainty over the country's leadership. That's reported to the time. We know that Iran is now attempting to stabilize its government while continuing military operations. Yeah, they don't have leadership right now. Like, who is going to be the anointed one? Who are they going to pick? Remember, this is like the head of the government and the most high religious person. So they're working on that. America keeps bombing and striking the people, as they're getting together to try to, have their conclave or whatever you want to call it. They have their guys come together to choose the next leader, but then they'll strike those guys. So those guys will get zapped. Okay, so now what do you do? I guess they're not going to get together anymore. They get on the phone, maybe get a pigeon, write down who they recommend, and kind of do it that way. Man. But yeah. So military analysts are saying the next phase could involve, and this is what could happen next, expanded strikes on Iranian military infrastructure. All right. Increased Iranian proxy attacks across the region. You're definitely going to see that. Continue naval confrontation in the Indian Ocean. I mean, I don't think that they have a Navy left, talking about the Iranians. You wouldn't want to go in the water, not when all the Americans are out there, especially our subs. Oil market volatility. We're seeing that. The key question now is whether the war remains a regional conflict or spreads further. That's the big thing. This is what happens when you have a war with no plan. Looks like, am I frozen? Looks like I'm frozen. Let me see if I can still hear myself talk. This is what happens. Yeah. So, yeah, in closing, man, it's like, 6 days into this conflict, the Middle East is facing one of the most dangerous military escalations in decades, man, like in generations. This is huge. Like, what's going on right now is really bad, man. And we have no idea what's next. That's how war works, man. War is just unpredictable. Your enemy is not going to do what you want them to do. And that's where we are right now. The next few days will be critical in determining whether the war expands further or begins to move towards diplomacy. I think if we really are running low on munitions, and Department of War has already came out and said that they've switched the type of munitions they're using in the bombing campaigns. So they've gone away from the smart munitions are going back to traditional, like the just dumb bombs, so to speak, which means the planes got to fly deeper into Iran to get these strikes. Some of these munitions require someone to paint the target, like get a laser and put the laser on the target if you want to hit a certain building that's in a cluster of other like non-combatant buildings or something like that, which means somebody got to put their boots on the ground, right? Or you're just gonna drop, carpet bombs, just drop a bunch of bombs and just again hit a bunch of civilians who have nothing to do with this. Um, that's what's going on now. So yeah, man, this is bad. This obviously there was no plan. The plan that they had was just ill-conceived. They really believed that we're just gonna go in here, zap a few people, and the Iranians are gonna get in line. That did not happen. So my question is this: if you're gonna be sending U.S. forces, U.S. airmen, and Israeli airmen, but I'm really worried about the U.S. airmen. You're gonna send them on missions with with different bombs. They're gonna have to get closer to the target and fly deeper into the country. There's a really good chance that they're gonna get shot down because we haven't gotten all of the missiles and all of the drones, and we have no idea when it comes to like man-pass stuff, like shoulder fire stuff. How many shoulder fire type weapons? How many Stinger type weapons do they have over there? Right, how many? So if one of our planes go down in Iran, what happens then? You got to send some people in there to get them. That's the Air Force PJs. That's their thing. You got to send some people in there to support the Air Force PJs, which means you might be sending Rangers in there. You might be sending more Marines in there. And what will happen if if we lose airmen to capture? What are we going to do then? We're going to raid the facilities? Like, what's going to happen? So that's when this thing gets really conventional. And that's something I'm sure this administration wants to avoid. So I just hope this administration doesn't get lulled into a false sense of security. They keep saying, oh, we have complete air superiority. All right. We send our jets in there deep and they get knocked out the sky. We got to go get those guys. We got to go get them. Right. So, and if that happens, now there are your boots on the ground right there. That's it. That's how it goes. Hey, this is terrible. There's no other way to put it. This is terrible. And simply because I'm against the reasons why this administration did this, I am against the war itself. I am 100% for our American service members. I mean, we're in it. We're in it. We need to handle it. We need to win, but no one knows what winning means. Every day is like, I hope the president decides to say, we won and pull everybody out. That's what I'm hoping for. We won, pull everybody out. The only way to really do this thing, they talking about air superiority and we can bomb and all that kind of stuff. You can bomb all day, all night. It does not matter. You need boots on the ground to hold the territory. That's how it works. That has never changed. That's not going to change. You're going to need boots on the ground, or you're going to need some drones, or you're going to need not regular drones. Like, you're going to need like bots. You're going to need war robots to go in there and hold the territory. And we don't have that yet. So that means boots on the ground. Simple as that. You cannot bomb your way into submission. It doesn't happen that way. We don't have the munitions for it anyhow. Like, if you really want to win this thing, in my opinion, you want a new regime, you have to go and remove the current regime and replace it with some sort of provisional government until they can decide, the Iranian people can decide who they want to vote for. And then what if they turn around and vote for the same people you just removed? What are you going to do then? Start bombing again? This is a bad, bad situation. This is a bad situation. I don't know, man. Like, guys, get on YouTube, go on YouTube, because Trump watches social media. Go on YouTube, go on TikTok, go on Instagram, go on any platform you can, and just say, hey, bring our soldiers home. Like, hey, this isn't worth it. Hey, we've already lost 6. We don't want to lose anymore. Say whatever you got to say. Trump listens to that. There's reporting that allegedly there are rumors out there that Hedgeseth wants to send in like a major ground operation. That's rumored. They say that behind the scenes, JD Vance and others are fighting him to not do that. But that's the only way That's the only way that you can win this thing. That's the only way you can hold the territory that you're bombing. You got to send in forces, and we know what that's going to look like. So I don't know what's going to happen, bro. Yeah, bro. It's all kind of money being made. It's all kind of money being made right now, man. Trump and the Trump brand, the Trump family, they're making tons of money. November is coming. Americans are definitely, if Americans get a chance to vote, Americans are definitely going to vote out all of the MAGA Republicans and the current, any if you are MAGA and or Republican and you're running in November, you're probably going to lose your seat. You're probably going to lose your seat, man. Like even in places like Texas, deep red Texas, MAGA people are in trouble. They are in trouble. There are MAGA people getting primaried in Texas, and then you're going to go against, you got to go for the general election, and independents and Democrats are going to rule the day. So, could you imagine Texas losing a Senate seat to the Democrats? That might happen. This Tallarico guy, he might be able to pull it off. You know what I mean? Man, if he pulls it off, that would be incredible. But he might be able to pull it off. He got by Jasmine Crockett, which I thought was going to happen. This guy's a Christian guy, tons of generations in Texas. His family roots go back to when Texas belonged to Mexico. He's a proud Texan. We're going to see what happens with that. We're going to see what happens with that. I think he could win a Senate seat. Right? There's a really good chance that in America, the Democrats take the House and they take the Senate. And if that happens, definitely Trump is going to be a lame duck, but more importantly, they're going to come after him with everything they got. With everything, there's going to be some impeachment going on. There's going to be some real things going on. And those Epstein files are going to come out unredacted. So people are going to get to see who was involved in that. So we'll see, man. There's a lot of talk out here. And I'm hearing this from the MAGA side. The MAGA people are saying, maybe we won't get a chance to vote. Maybe this administration will come up with something that cause some sort of martial law or continue to stop Americans from voting. That's what's going on right now. That's what MAGA is saying. Well, the former MAGA people who are like sick of what's going on right now, they're saying that. You already know where the left is on this. So we shall see, man. That would be that'll be nasty. That will be nasty if they come up with some sort of way to stop the election in 2026. I was thinking there's no way they're gonna mess with the midterm. But now, I don't know. I don't know. 2028, yeah, I was already thinking like, yeah, they might want to try something. It's going to boil down to the American people. What are the American people going to do? What are the American people going to do? There's a lot of GOP people that they want to keep their seats, man. After the midterms, I can see the GOP members of Congress moving against Trump. I can see it. You see how hard that Marjorie Taylor Greene is going against Trump right now. I can see GOP members moving against Trump after once this midterm is over, once this blue tsunami comes and wipes away most of MAGA. But again, will we get a chance to vote? Will we get a chance to vote? Will this administration come up with something, or will there be some sort of event that the deep state backs here in America? Some sort of attack that they're going to blame on Iran and say, hey, we got to suspend voting because we got this problem in the Middle East. We shall see. We shall see. Personally, I believe that it's going to, we're going to have the election in 2026. The pendulum, of course, is going to swing wildly to the left. It's going to be a lot of Democrats and moderate independents and some moderate Republicans to get elected and sent to D.C. And then they're just going to do everything they can to shut down the current administration and what they're doing. They're going to try to shut down this war. They're going to do all sorts of stuff. That's what I think is going to happen. That's what I think is going to happen. But we shall see. We shall see. So a lot of people leaving. A lot of GLP members are leaving. Marjorie Taylor Greene left. I mean, got more leaving. There's a lot of people who are just disgusted. But then the people who stay, the political winds have shifted, and they're gonna turn on Trump. Republican and Democrat alike, they're going to turn on Trump. But most of them are controlled by the 1%, so they got to dance that fine line. So, but I do think that, they're going to sacrifice Donald Trump politically here. So anyway, that's it. That's the latest update, guys. I was going to show this video with You know what? I'm gonna try to show this video. You know what? I'll try to show this. Head Seth mad at media for covering U.S. dead. This is breaking points. Let me try to get this. I'm gonna try it. It's gonna glitch like crazy, guys. I'm telling you now, it's gonna glitch. I didn't download it. I should have. But I'm gonna try to run this. My daughter's home. She's probably playing her game, so I'm gonna try to run this, guys. And you guys know I'm a big fan of breaking points, so just kind of let me know what you guys think. Here we go.
So let's then turn to what I thought was one of the most single disgraceful utterances by a U.S. Secretary of Defense ever. Here is Secretary Hegseth, who is chastising the media for covering the deaths never
the fake news control of Iran airspace water without boots on the ground. We control their fate. But when a few drones get through or tragic things happen, it's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad, but try for once to report the reality. The terms of this war will be set by us at every step.
And so he is saying that the fake news does their part by trying to make the president look bad because trap. Can you imagine statements chastising us for covering the deaths of American soldiers? American Tactical Operations Center, who, by their own admission, I mean, one of these women who was killed in the strike had apparently spoken to her husband, according to his own interviews, about how she was worried about what was going on. She was working here in the Tactical Operations Center, and what they had done is that they were fighting like the last war. So they put up these walls around the operations center, which were designed for suicide bomb attacks. But watch about the now for in Ukraine knows that that's not how it was going to come. Any sort of attack, it was going to be by a suicide drone, and that is exactly what happened, which appears to have a direct strike, which raises a whole one. Why was it that was even prepared? The U.S. military scrambling and is going to buy from technology from the Ukrainians. Not sure why we have to buy it since we're the ones who paid for it, but okay. So we're going to buy all of this counter drone technology stuff from the Ukrainians, which means that we didn't do any studying. We actually didn't prepare properly for a lot of the bases. By Donald Trump's own admission, they have said that they were not prepared for some of the strikes that were on the Gulf. So that means there wasn't an active planning that happened inside. And now 6 of these Americans are dead.
For anyone that knows, like, Sager is not some bleeding heart liberal. This guy is right. He is on the political right, and he is upset, bro. He is really mad about what's going on right now, rightly so. And he's right. No one was prepared for what's going on. The military knows how war is fought today. We understand what's going on with drones. SF really understands it because we've been studying what's going on in Ukraine. Dirty way to fight wars. I wouldn't want to fight this kind of war. But this is what it is. And yeah, so you got a building, you got basically a tent with sandbags or the equivalent around the size of the tent, but there's nothing on top. And then, these drones come dropping in from above. Yeah. Yeah, sucks.
Worst about it is that they keep saying, oh, that's just the first of many to come. They keep saying, oh, more casualties, could be more. I mean, God only knows, are there more that they haven't told us about?
Right.
Hope not, right? Having covered this for a long time, usually they just come out within 24 hours, but at the very least, they're expecting more. And the fact that they're expecting the public for more, and this is the way that they want to cover it, is beyond disgraceful, So let's they don't want us to cover apparently these troops because it's bad for morale. It's not our job to do morale. That's not our job at all. Let's put some of these up here on the screen. The Pentagon has now ID'd 6 of the soldiers who were killed in the Kuwait attack. Many of them were attached to this Army Reserve unit out of Des Moines, Iowa. And actually, from their ranks, you can see that many of these were very senior U.S. Army personnel. But the one that sticks with me is this one, Sergeant Declan Cody. He was 20 years old. He was a student he was a student who was studying information systems, who was taking classes online from Kuwait. And again, a member of the U.S. Army Reserve. And I want this to also show everybody too. These are, I mean, look, they volunteered, I'm stepping, but it shows you the problem of overextended is that base is to be the U.S. Army war zone. And here you have a 20-year-old kid who had his entire life ahead of him, who was born, and I just can't get away from this, 4 to 5 years after 9/11, who just perished in another American war in the Middle East. How does that not break your heart? I've covered so many of these over the years, written obituaries for kids younger than me. I wrote my first obituary for a kid who was to me 9 years ago, who stepped on an IED in Iraq, and know so many people who were wounded, family people who were killed, who were over there. And now we have another one. And the Secretary of Defense is telling us that it is basically, this is 2002, 2000 era BS. Freedom isn't free. The only way to support our troops and mourn our dead is support the war, support the president. And there is nothing less patriotic actually than that. We are not falling for this bullshit again. I just think it's so, it's not just about disgrace. If you ask me, there hasn't been enough media.
You can hear his passion. And he's absolutely right. I have a 17-year-old daughter. She's 3 years younger than that kid that lost his life over there. Think about it. Think about that kid. 24 months ago, he was in high school, right? Why is he in the Army National question? Why is he in the Army Reserve? Getting money for college. He's over there doing his schoolwork. That's what he's doing because he can't make enough money in America to afford college. Americans can't afford America. Remember, I'm definitely coming back to talk about that. I might come back tonight, do a quick little thing, but tomorrow, either tonight or tomorrow, I want to continue to talk about what's going on with our economy over here, man. It's messed up. So this young man enlisted in the United States Army Reserve so he can finish college. Right? And this is how it ended. Now, here's the thing. 20 years old, man, I was his age. I was in the United States military. I was downrange myself, and I did what I did, and, in charge of other soldiers just doing what we do. But I signed up for that. It's paratrooper, man. I signed up. I knew that's what I wanted. I didn't have to get deployed to Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I'm my mother's only child. They came to me. People in my unit, the people who were from my unit that stayed in America, that wasn't with the company, they came up to me and they said, "Hey, you don't have to get deployed. You're your mother's only child." In the res, it says that we don't have to necessarily send you, so you can stay. You don't have to go. I'm like, no, that's what I listened for, man. I'm airborne. Let's go. Let's go. Man, I was scared when I got there. But that's what I signed up for. And the Army told me I didn't have to go, so I could have stayed here in the States. Right? One of the women that lost her life, one of the 6 reservists, I think she had 2 kids. And she's over there doing that. And you got the Secretary of Defense, Slant War, upset because American reporters want to report on the cost of this particular operation. That's their job. That's their job. They have to do that. Sager is really upset, man. Rightly so. He's really disappointed in people. As a reporter, he's like, man, I can't believe these. I've known these people forever, been reporting and talking to them and thought I knew them. They get into power and they go from being peace-loving to warmongers, just like that. Talking about Tulsi Gabbard, talking about J.D. Vance, right? He goes on and on and on. This is in the description. If you wanna watch more Breaking Points, go over there and check them out, man. Breaking Points is doing good work over there. They had a video from a couple weeks ago. A few days ago. They were talking about this, man. Like one video had like 5 million views. They were talking to some Chinese doctor Zhang or something like that about this. 5 million views.
We should learn the cost. We talked about the girls. They're dead. Okay, little girls are dead. Who knows who killed them? Now these people, they're dead. I mean, these American soldiers are dead at the decision point of the United States president and of the Israeli president, and their blood, it's on our leadership.
Yeah.
And we should be able to say that without being denigrated as cowards or anti-war, anti-American. It's anti-American to mourn the deaths of a 20-year-old kid who was in Kuwait, right? It's just, it really gets me.
It reminds so much of how they were trying to, during the Iraq War, hide the coffins coming home. They didn't want photographs. They didn't want pictures of them. And the elites of this country, it's not their sons and daughters, by and large, who go and fight and die in these wars. Baron's not going to be headed over there anytime soon. And they seem to view all of this like it's some kind of game.
Or a TV show. Yeah.
TV show is, I mean, obviously we have a reality TV president, but Pete Hegseth too was primarily a TV personality. And he's clearly out of his depth, and he knows that. And so he has adopted this. He thinks makes him look like a tough guy. And he's adopted these sort of like habits of discourse that he's drawn from, what he thinks Trump would say. And Trump's the ultimate daddy figure for the MAGA right. And so he thinks that by lashing out at the fake news media, trying to make the president look bad, that he's going to look like a big man. He's going to look like he's doing the right thing here. And, this whole presser where he's talking about, we're going to rain down death and destruction. He's playing a character. He decided he wants to adopt this persona of like a comic book villain. And that's his whole approach to this, because he does not know what he's doing. Before this, at the very beginning of the administration, we're reporting about how the Pentagon is total chaos under him. Like, he has no business being in this position. And what a disgrace that now we have American service members dead. We have Iranian civilians dead. We have people dead throughout the entire region.
Kuwaiti soldiers who've been killed.
Absolutely.
Guards, random personnel, airport guys. The
Israelis are blowing up the police stations in Iran because they want to foment chaos and civil war and some sort of uprising. And the president of the United States cannot even give a straight answer about what the hell the goal is and why we're doing it. Just think about that. And, I keep coming back to some of the emails that reveal the way that these people just do not see others below the elite as being true. So they're, your son's into a meat grind for whatever reasons, because Israel pressured us, because I want to look like a big tough guy, because I feel like more of a man when I can send American fighters in potentially to their death. And it's sick.
Yeah, that's what it's
depraved, man. And that's exactly.
Shout out to them. Shout out to Breaking Points. All right, shout out to Breaking Points. If America wants these wars to stop, one of the things we could do, right? One of the things we could do, mandatory military service for all Americans for at least 2 years, from age 18 to age 20. Everybody, lottie-dottie, everybody. So when something like this happens, we're sending rich kids too. I guarantee you, if Trump's son was in the United States military, we wouldn't be fighting this war. We wouldn't be fighting it. If the people in D.C. knew that their kids, their grandkids, right, their donors, children and grandchildren were in the military and off to war, they wouldn't send our military in situations like this. It was just, if we sent the military, we're sending our most valuable resource, all of our children. And if you did that, if it was mandatory military service, you would have to put a caveat in there that when, a rich Trump or, a Pelosi or a McConnell or whoever, some rich person, kid gets into the military changes their name. Right? He's like, all right, we know who you are, but we're changing your name. And, you have to have it to where the military is running that thing all the way complete. It's like, yeah, there will be some people who are wealthy enough to maybe influence where these kids wound up being assigned, but it doesn't matter. Like, you can get into the United States Army, like the 6 KIA, they're not 11 Bravo. They're not combat arms. These are just people pushing papers. They're in the command top. They're sitting around there just helping the command structure, getting information in, sending in reports, going online, doing stuff. That's what they were doing. So it's dangerous. You can be a truck driver. driving around in a combat zone is dangerous, especially with IEDs these days and drones. You guys see all the pictures of the Iranians driving around with their missile trucks, and you got like inbound ordnance, man. Just it's dangerous. I think that's one of the things we should do. All Americans should be forced to serve the United States military. I've been saying this forever. And there'll be someone in the comments like, no, not me. All right, then. I think another thing we should change the laws. You should not be allowed to be president of the United States if you've never served in the United States military. Simple as that. Oh, you didn't serve in the United States military? Can't be president. Can't be president. Should have served. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, Space Force, the Reserve, the Guard, should have served. Oh, well. And think about that going, in the modern era, that would be, 2 presidents have served, going back to W. So Reagan couldn't serve, but he wanted to, but he was in like the auxiliary or something like that. He did wear a uniform. He was like making training videos and stuff like that for the United States Army, Air Corps, and stuff like that. So Reagan wanted to go. He wanted to be a fighter pilot and do some crazy stuff, but he couldn't get in. I think it was medical problems. So, but Bush served and his son served. He didn't, like W didn't go to Vietnam, but he was in the military, and I'm pretty sure daddy pulled some strings, got him into the Air National Guard units, whatever, so he didn't have to go to Vietnam. But all the other presidents we've had since then, none of them served. Obama didn't serve, Clinton didn't serve, Biden didn't serve, Trump didn't serve, obviously. And someone like Trump, who, a draft dodger, like, really, bone spurs? Are you kidding me? And then the MAGA folks who try to bend themselves into pretzels trying to justify it. I'm like, man, you don't understand. Like, I do understand. Like, I had a heart murmur, bro. I'm a paratrooper. I had to go get a waiver. I had to go sign a waiver. So, yeah, I had a heart murmur. And I'm jumping out of airplanes, doing all that hula stuff. I got deployed. I did my thing. Bone spurs? Man, stop it. So there are things we could do in America. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But if you want to stop all these forever wars and unnecessary wars, make it to where even if the elite's children weren't involved, their constituent children are. So it's like, hey, if you want our votes, you want our little money, you want our support, can't be doing this. Can't be doing this. But I think all rich kids, all poor kids, everybody, lottie-dottie, everybody should have to serve in the United States Army for a minimum of 2 years, right out of high school. Straight to the Army. I want to go to college. You can go to college in 2 years. You can take college courses while you in. You know what I mean? Harvard and Yale can wait, Mr. Trump. Here you go, Private Trump. Get your gear and fall in over there. Right? Elvis was even in the Army. Come on, man. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. That's the update, the Iranian update. No end in sight right now, but who knows? We might wake up tomorrow. Trump might decide he had a feeling it's time to end the war, just like he had a feeling it was time. He had a feeling Iran was going to strike. He had a feeling. So maybe he'll wake up and have a feeling to end this thing. Fingers crossed, prayers, whatever you got to do. Maybe he'll end it. But that's all I got, man. Day 6. So we'll have day 7 on tomorrow. Hope you guys are good. Again, I'm definitely going to try to come back. I don't know if I'm going to do a live. I might just do one video tonight. We'll see. But there's a video I want to talk more about what's going on financially here in the States, man. Like, Americans are just severely underemployed right now. We just can't afford this. Gas prices are going up. I don't know where you live, but gas prices are already creeping up, man. Like 50 cents. I've noticed already 50 cents. So next time I go to fill up, it's probably going to cost me probably $1 more because it'll probably go up another 50 cents by then. So Americans already can't afford groceries. We can't afford insurance, right? Car insurance. Americans can't afford to pay their car notes. There's so many cars being repossessed, people are losing their cars, man. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you guys for checking it out. Like I said, when we talk about the war, we're not gonna do any sound effects, no intros, no outros, none of that stuff. But we'll be back, man. I'm DL Saint. This is That I Really Want to Know podcast. Appreciate y'all. Talk to y'all later. Peace.